Here's our iPad with the screen engaged. If you double click this button 2 times, it's called the app changer, and it allows you to see other apps that are open or other screens that you've had open. Clicking it 1 time takes you back to this page, which is the home page. You can see here that I have several pages of apps, and you can group apps together just by holding on to the app, and when it lifts, then you're going to get this screen. It says Edit Home Screen. You touch that, and notice all of the apps are now kind of shaking back and forth. Now I can grab an app and pull it into a folder if I want to. I can also take apps out of that folder and leave them on the screen, put them back in. And if I need to adjust what this particular folder is called, that's when I can tap inside the bar and I can delete what's written and put something else in its place. When I'm done, I just tap off of the screen. You'll see the word done in the top corner, and when you hit done, the icon stops shaking, and so now I have edited my screen. So to continue now, if you look at the iPad, I'm going to change the orientation of it. The camera is located at the opposite end from the home button. There's a front-facing camera, then the front-facing camera. And also right above this area is our on-off switch. Now I said it was an on-off switch, but actually when you click it 1 time, all it does is put the device to sleep. So just like I'm going to click it now, it went to sleep. I click it again, it comes back to the locked screen. So if you actually want to turn a device off, you have to hold this button 1, 2, 3, and then swipe to turn off the screen. One thing I didn't understand when I first got into iPads is that when you plug in an iPad, such as I'm plugging this one in here, it's going to turn back on. And believe it or not, a lot of people have difficulty turning this back on. They push the home screen button and nothing happens, and they're like, it's plugged in, nothing is happening, there must be something wrong with my device. Instead, hold that on-off button until you see the apple, let go, and it will take just a few seconds for everything to boot back up. There we go, we're back at it. When I turn the machine this way, you'll notice at the opposite end of the sleep button in the top and the back camera, you see the headphone jack. This is kind of an inconvenient, you'll see the headphone jack. This particular headphone jack on iPads is the #1 cause of breakage on iPads because students yank it out or bend it back and they snap off the end of the headphones inside of the device. So train your kids not to bend it back but to pull it straight out. That's this particular iPad case kind of forces them to pull this way when they do that. Okay, so let's look now at the settings. The settings button is a gear within a gear, and when I open it, you see I have a little red dot. The little red dot tells me my iCloud storage is almost full and tells me, you need to go in here and do something about it. What I want to show you in the settings button is the first bar is going to tell you whether this is a student iPad or a teacher iPad. This iPad is actually signed in using my information, and that tells you that this is a teacher iPad. We have 2 different kinds. We have our teacher iPad and we have our student profiles. So you can't sign a teacher profile into a student profile. So when I touch on my name, this is going to give me the information about this iPad. It's going to tell me right down here, it will tell me what is the actual school number of this iPad. It will tell me this is an iPad Pro, and it will also give me a sign out button here if I need to completely sign out of this device. Right beneath that, and I'm going to go back here, and right beneath that you'll see I have airplane mode, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi on iPads should always be set to CNET. I know if you don't see CNET as one of the choices up here, then you're going to want to come over and whatever internet that it's connecting to, you're going to want to touch the little circle next to it, and you're going to want to have them forget that particular network and search for new networks and come up for CNET. CNET is the one that you want. Other networks that show up, you can see at my location I've got Apple and Bob and BYOD and UNET and all of that. So one thing that you need to remember is that we do not want students to sign into any other network except CNET when they're at school on a district-owned device. If they're on a device that is owned personally by them or by you, then it needs to be on the BYOD network. And when they touch the BYOD network, they're going to put in the username and the password. And that is the student's email address, which is whatever the student name is, at student.okaloosaschools.com. And then they'll put in their password that's based on their birthday. Once they've done that, then that's how they have signed into the device. And when they're done using it, then they are going to touch this button, come down here and sign out of the device if that gives them an option to do that. Okay, Bluetooth does not work on student devices because we don't want them to be able to bypass the security setup on their device. So then you have notifications and sounds and other things over here. One thing about General. General is where you can see software updates. Every iPad that you use needs to be set on where the updates are automatic. Even when you tell it to update automatically, you're still going to want to come in about once a week and just check to be sure that it's actually doing that. So this one says customize automatic updates. I want it to download them automatically and I want them to install them automatically. So that's kind of a new feature, and you want to just make sure these toggle buttons are set to green. You can learn more about this. We should be on 13.6.1 right now, and if yours are not there, it may take a couple of updates to get them to the right operating system. This iOS 13 is really cool, and it allows your iPads to act kind of like a regular computer screen. Now I'm going to look at the control center, and the control center is something we definitely want to look at. And what the control center is taking your finger and dragging down from the top of the screen. It allows you to access some of the apps on your computer, on your iPad computer, no matter what's going on behind it. So if I had an Apple TV and I wanted to, take what was on my screen and send it up to the big screen, I've got Apple screen mirroring here. Oops, went away, come back. Here's airplane mode, here's my Wi-Fi, there's my Bluetooth. I can control if I'm playing music. I have a fast forward, backwards. I have the play and pause button. I have the night view. I can lock my screen so that even if I turn it, it doesn't change the orientation. That's very helpful if you're projecting your screen up so you don't make your students dizzy. I can control the brightness of the screen on a slide and the volume on my screen on a slide. So even if I'm showing a video, I just pull down and I can adjust things there quickly. I have alarms, and this little round circle within a circle, that is a really powerful tool, and that is your screen recording tool. So once I get my computer wherever I want it to be on whatever app that I want to record, let's say I wanted to record something that I was doing in here on Teams, I can just pull down on my screen, tap the record button, and it will count down 3, 2, 1. And now whatever I'm doing on the screen, I'm showing people stuff, it's actually recording. So I stop the recording, and now that recording is going to be saved inside of Photos. So we'll find my photos, which I usually keep pinned on the bar down here. I don't like to hunt for photos. I don't want to hunt for Safari or notes. This is my Nearpod and this is my file. And that right there is a wonderful, fabulous tool called Clips, where I can take all those little short recordings that I just like the one I just made, and then I can create, learning for my students. So here's the clip that I just made. You'll see everything is there. That's my little pointer moving around, and it's just a short clip. I just wanted to show you that. So home screen takes that away. And we were talking about the control center. So how do you get the right kind of choices on this control center? I've got my light, I've got an alarm clock, I've got my camera app right here. It pulls it right up. And close that out again. The way that you do that is in settings, and I've got my pointer so you can see. You go to the control center and you say that you want access within apps. And then you're going to customize controls. And so right here you see the top area and you see the bottom area. The top one these are the different functions that I want included on that control center. So right now I've got screen recording, timer, camera, alarm, dark mode, and flashlight. If I wanted to add more things like the accessibility shortcuts, I just tap the little green plus sign. And now when I pull down, the accessibility shortcuts are right there, ready for me to access inside of any app. Now students and teachers can adjust these. So sometimes it can kind of get you into a little bit of a confusion if something is happening on the machine and you don't know what it is. So it's a very good idea if you learn what all of these functions are and how to access them and turn them on and off. So let's get out of the control center right now, back into general, and look at some of these settings. These are settings that you'll want to think about. We talked about the software update, and then there's AirDrop. If your students are going to be creating documents and sharing them with you, you'll want to set it to everyone. Receiving off means they will not be able to receive a document from you. Contacts only is not going to apply because we don't keep contacts in student devices. So you'll want to set it to everyone. This does permit students to AirDrop pictures and files to each other. So you'll need to be instructing them with digital citizenship so that they will know not to do that inappropriately. And that is AirDrop. Handoff is similar to AirPlay. AirPlay allows you to play whatever's on your screen somewhere else. iPad storage, it just lets you know how much storage you've used up. Background app refresh, it will go in and refresh all of your apps while you're doing other things. The date and time of the machine, you can change the settings. Just don't be afraid to look in here. If you do mess something up, and it happens, just go ahead and get on your other computer and Google what you need to do in order to change it. Sometimes students will come in and they'll change the language of the machine and forget to change it back. There are other languages available here. You want to keep that in mind. We can also look at dictionaries. And again, this is an iPad Pro, so not all of these features are on every iPad in the district, but I do want you to see what the functions are. This is an older iPad Pro, so some of these functions are now available on the newer regular iPads. Don't mess with your VPN, and device management for this one is done through Mosul Corporation. That's an important thing to remember in case it's time to update your apps. So we already talked about updating the device operating system, but you also need to update apps. And before I get off of the general screen, notice there's a shutdown button down here. The shutdown button will allow me to turn this completely off and save the charge. You want to keep iPads fully charged. You want to plug them in every night and have them charging so we can keep it 100% as much as possible. Okay, so that was our general, that was our control center. You have display and brightness, can be slid. If you wanted to change the wallpaper, you can come to the home screen. I do recommend taking a picture of a student and choosing, if it allows you to take a picture of the student and put that into wallpaper. So you can choose a new wallpaper from your photos and get your selfie. That way you know who's supposed to be on that screen. Yeah, I'm gonna keep my day job there. You can put the student's name on there, whatever you need to do. This button is your accessibility button. It's a wonderful thing, but it's also can be difficult. I got into some of the vision choices in here and caused my iPad to not be able to respond to me at all. So like I said, if you do get in over your head, Google it and find out what you need to have on there. VoiceOver is a vision accessibility, and it will speak everything on a screen, like starting at the top, 8:21 a.m. Friday, August 21st. So it will tell you how to activate, how to inactivate it, how to adjust the speaking rate, what kind of speech do you want. There are lots of voice choices that you can do. Samantha, Alex, those are my favorite ones. You just, experiment with it and see what you like. When you get pronunciations, it looks like we don't have any choices in this one. Using pitch change in your voice keeps your people from being bored. Detecting languages, adding new languages. All of these are things that you can look at and experiment with again. There is Braille in here. So Braille has an output of an 8-dot or an input of a 6-dot, and it's going to use 3 fingers on both sides of the screen. You'll want to learn more about that if you're going to look at Braille. Let's go back. We have audio controls as well, sounds and audio ducking. Commands, and there are several kinds of commands associated with voiceover commands. You'll want to read more about that. I'm not an expert on those things. Typing style, standard style, let's tap right over there. Touch typing, direct touch typing, phonetic feedback, modifier keys. All right, let's come down a little bit farther. If you always want it to speak notifications to you, you'll toggle the on switch on or off. Navigating images, you can get a larger cursor by changing that. It's going to make the cursor that flashes inside of the apps larger. I'm going to leave that one on so you can see what that does. Okay, so that was our accessibility just in VoiceOver. And I have it turned off because it's not something that I need. If you want to do zooming in, it says right here you double tap 3 fingers to zoom in. You drag 3 fingers to move it around the screen. So all of these choices now are only related to the zooming in feature. If your student needs to use a magnifier, then they toggle on the switch and it lets you use the device camera to magnify things that are outside of the device. So if I need to use it to look at something nearby on a piece of paper, I can use the magnifier. And to do that, it says when enabled, triple click the home button to start it. So if I go 1, 2, 3, now I have a magnifier and I can use this. You'll see there's a slide bar at the bottom here, and I can use that to see up close whatever is happening nearby. There we go. Oop, come back here. So that is a simple on-off that we can do inside of accessibility with the magnifier. Changing your display and text size, you have lots of choices here. And then motion. Some students can, they move too much, or some students have difficulty controlling their motion. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can reduce the motion of the user interface, and that kind of helps them if they are moving a lot. The machine won't read much into it. Spoken content, audio descriptions. Then when you get to physical and motor, there's a lot of choices here as well. Pointer controls, hearing, accessibility. If we need to come over here, it will search and pair with hearing aids. Certain hearing aids it will pair. and it'll let you know you have to toggle this on if you want hearing aid compatibility to go with it. So then you're kind of using the device itself as a microphone for the hearing impaired. You can turn on subtitles and captioning if it's available, closed captions and subtitles. You just toggle that switch on. It's going to give you some help. Transparent background, the subtitles will look like this. Large text, classic text, outline, or you can actually create a new style. So those are really powerful accessibility tools for our hearing impaired students. And then in general, I have this button up here. It's an accessibility shortcut. You see, if I hold the button, it takes me straight into some of the accessibility controls. I use it because it makes a great pointer when I'm projecting my iPad up on a screen. So there's our accessibility. We looked at wallpaper. I recommend turning Siri and search on. It is useful for our students to be able to search using Siri. Touch ID and passcode I don't think is available on most regular iPads. And the battery button is very interesting. It will let you know how the usage has been going and what activities have been draining the battery. iTunes in the App Store does not appear on any student devices. That is one of the ways that you know that you have a student device is if you do not have an App Store. Only teacher devices have App Stores because teachers are supposed to take care of the apps that are on their devices. So let me go ahead and click out here. And you have to have a credit card associated with it or an account if you're going to access the App Store. Here's something to keep in mind. If you buy something in here, and I touch apps, I'm going to want to come back and check on those apps. Let's see if I can find them. Oh, that's right. I just need to tap on my profile. See how there's a number 12 next to my little profile person? That means I need to come down here. I have 12 apps that are ready to be updated. So I tap Update All, and it will update everything on my device at one time. You might be wondering why I would want to do that. Well, when it is a teacher-managed device, the teacher has to update the apps. If it is a district-managed device, that's what our student devices are, all district-managed devices, then the teacher doesn't have to deal with updating any of the apps. What they do instead, and I'm going to type, I don't know if you saw what I did, this is the finder. You put your finger in the middle of the screen and you pull down, and you can find anything that way. So I'm going to type Mosel, and I told you about Mosel a little bit ago, S-Y-L-E, Mosel Manager. And it looks like this. Well, on this device, which is a teacher device, it doesn't do anything for me. But on a student device, when you go into the Mosel Manager, that is a fabulous, fabulous way. Come on. There we go. We want to get to this screen, and we want self-service because I'm controlling this myself. This Mosel Manager is how apps get restored to your device if a student accidentally deletes it, or if they need any updates, the Mosel Manager will control that for you. So says something went wrong because I don't actually use it. So I'm going to set this iPad aside for a moment, and I'm going to pull up this one, which is a student device, and it looks a lot different. Let's see, I think you can see that pretty well if I put it up like that. Again, I'm going to look for that Mosel Manager. I don't have it on here that I can see. If I pull down and I type Mosel, M-O-S, there's my manager. It's going to show up. I want self-service because I want to see it. And there are all the apps that I've requested the mobile learning department to add to my device. So all of these say reinstall, update, reinstall, update. I'm just going to tell it to update everything, and it's actually already updated. So if anything gets deleted off of here, it will automatically seek out and reinstall those apps. And if it doesn't connect for some reason, then you can come in here and do it yourself. So when I go back to my home page, let's see, I don't think you can see this. There are little tiny blue dots next to some of the apps on my screen. And what that means is those apps recently updated. So I'm going to want to touch that screen and just give it a chance to kind of do a welcome one and everything. It will tell you what the newest features are of that update. And see, now the little blue dot is gone. So that is all about updating apps, updating the device, and all about looking at the control features. You can see here that I'm back on my teacher device, and there's no apps in here at all because the district doesn't manage on my teacher device. So when I hit update, there's nothing happening here. I run updates on the teacher device myself by going to the App Store or by going in to the settings area in the control area. So I would come in here if I needed an update. I go into general, I look at my software update, and I have one ready to go that I've been downloading. So this is where you need to pay attention to what you need to do as a teacher managing devices. And that is you'd go ahead and hit install now. I have a code on this particular machine. And once the code is in, then it will go ahead and it will start the update. Devices will not update unless they are above, and I want to say 50%. I always get that mixed up if it's 50% or 80%. And they have to be plugged in and connected to the Wi-Fi. So you could try to start one not plugged in, but if it runs below whatever that cutoff point is, it's going to stop updating. And it will say update unsuccessful. If you plug it in and it's connected to the Wi-Fi, then you're assured that the update is going to go through as needed. Now this is kind of a long update on this one, so I'm not going to show you this, but when it's over, we're going to need to click the home button a few times and to get it activated that way. Okay, while my teacher iPad is updating, I'm back on a student iPad, and I wanted to show you a few more things about this. At the bottom of the screen is a taskbar, and I don't know if you can see there's 4 items on the screen, and then there's a really faint line, and then I see 3 items on the right. And this particular taskbar, you see, it doesn't matter what screen I'm on, it stays the same. This taskbar on the left side of the line are things that I've pinned to the taskbar so I never have to hunt for them. I like keeping Safari and notes and my picture and my files at the bottom. But if I wanted to change it up, I can grab it when it lifts. I'm going to edit my home screen. Everything starts shaking and I can drag it off of the screen. And then maybe I don't want to do that. I want to put settings in its place. I can add settings down here to the left side. See, it kind of moves over and makes room. I think I'm going to put that one back in there. You can put, I believe you can put 8 items on the left side. The items on the right hand side will not stay there. What they are, and I'm going to do my home button to say that I'm done. These are the last 3 apps that I've opened on this device. So if I was working in Camera or Maps or Flipgrid, that's awesome. Let's see if I can come over here, and maybe I'm going to go into Safari and I want to find an interesting article. Here's how to log in if it's going to say find your login page. So I'm going to put in Okaloosa. I'm going to hit return. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to find Okaloosa Online Non-Franchised. Takes you straight into ClassLink. You tap on that, and then it's going to ask the student to sign in. Remember, this is a student iPad that we're looking at here. So I put my information in, and I just hit sign in, and now it's going to sign me in. This will bring up my ClassLink, just like it looks like on my computer. This is how your students get in to do things, just like that. So I've signed in. I wanted to go to a web page. I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to touch in the browser, and I wanted to study something to do with llamas. So I write the word in the Google search and I hit go, and it's going to bring up pictures about llamas. The reason I was pointing out that taskbar is if I pull from the bottom of the screen, pulling, I am pulling here, it's not working. There it is. If at first you don't succeed. So I have my research here, and now I want to split my screen and pull up the note icon. I grab it, I don't let go of it, and you see how it kind of, got blurry? If I pull it to the side, I have just now split my screen. Let's go get a new note, not my picture. There's a new note button at the bottom. Your student has a blank piece of paper. They can do some research up here. I can even use the speaking button to give it a title. My report, not new. My Report About Llamas by Liz Bears. And then it turns the mic off. I'm going to hit return and make my keyboard go away. So I can grab in the middle and kind of change up the size of things. Maybe right here, llamas. I want a nice picture of a llama, so I'm going to grab that picture. I'm going to drag that picture over. Oh, I don't want it to go there. I just want it on my notes. There we go. It will paste the picture directly over. If I wanted to study more about, I can actually bring a video over, which is kind of neat. Lambs, it says lambs, it doesn't say llamas. Tell you what, spelling is not overrated. I'm going to delete that and rewrite it in L-L-A-M-A-S. Now it says llamas. Here we go, and National Geographic is a nice website. Open up my website, find the information that I want to share, and I'm going to select some information, and I'm going to drag it over, because again, I'm doing research. I don't want to encourage students to steal information, but I do want to encourage them to actually do some research. So notice, because of some of the settings that we did, here's some nice things right here. I'm going to tap it. I'm going to select the part that I wanted up here. And notice I can copy this. It says, oh, you want to learn more about that? That's cool. Or I can just touch it and drag it over. Now our students will be happy to do this kind of thing. They didn't have to type anything. They didn't have to do a lot of reading, which is sad, I know, and true. But where did they get this information from? We've been trying to teach students to cite where they got it from. Well, using the iPad, they will just go up to the bar, grab that, and drag it down. So now we've got the picture, we've got the words, we've got where it came from, and they can go back and easily see where they got that information. So now they've done a little research and they want to actually write something. I think llamas are really beautiful animals, period. I wish I had a pet llama, period. You'll notice that I also spoke my punctuation in, and that is a great way to teach punctuation when they get to the end of a thought, to say period. If they're still going, to say comma, and it will respond to them. Okay. Another thing that's really cool, remember we were talking about having a split screen, is if on some devices you can actually split the screen 3 ways. You can pull that thing up. It's not pulling up. There it came. You can actually split it 3 ways. So if I needed to see where llamas were, I just put the 3rd screen on top of the dividing line, and I can grab it and move it around. And when I'm done looking at where llamas actually live, I have to swipe really quick to get rid of it. And I'm not swiping fast enough. Let's swipe this way. Okay. So much fun. And again, that is how kids can do research using notes and also split the screen using the taskbar at the bottom. And I also showed you how you could adjust it. Well, we've really covered a huge amount of information today. I hope it hasn't been too much for you. And so before I go, here's my teacher iPad again after the update. I click the home button. I'm going to sign in. Oops, did it wrong. Delete. Here is my teacher iPad after the update. I push the power button, and you'll notice now I have these little red numbers everywhere telling me that there are updates and messages that I might want to look at, and I can just go ahead and start enjoying all of these different apps on the iPad. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful. I know this is an unbelievable amount of information to share with you, and I have more later. Here are just a couple of, don't do kind of things. First of all, use student iPads with students. Don't allow students to use a teacher iPad. It does not have the kind of protections in place that the students need, and they could get themselves in trouble. Also, let's see, if teachers want to use Apple Classroom, that's a wonderful subject. If students are in the same room, so we need proximity and Wi-Fi, then the teacher can access a program known as Apple Classroom. Apple Classroom allows the teacher to have the students sign into the class, and they'll be able to, I can send all my students directly somewhere. I can see what's on their screen at the moment. I can divide them into small groups and keep my eye on a particular group that needs it. So I'm looking at their screens. If I tap on one person's screen, I should be able to see that one better. And if you can see, I can group them together. These other choices are sort of grayed out because I don't have any other iPads connected to this class right now. But I can lock their screens. I can mute their screens if I need to get their attention. I can navigate or send everybody to the same web page or the same app if I wanted to do that. It's not going to work for me because these screens are not turned on. Or I can open everybody in a particular app that I want them to work in. So if you're doing some synchronous learning, you've got some students in front of you and some away from you, and we can say, okay, everybody, we're going to all navigate to this spot. You can't control the kids that are away from you, but you can make all the iPads go where you want them to. To use Apple Classroom, you only download the app onto a teacher-managed device. You never put the app on a student device because that would allow them to see each other's iPads. So, Apple Classroom. It's a wonderful tool. The only hang up with that is your kids do need to be connected to the Wi-Fi, and you are going to need to be on the same network. Remember I told you CNET for these mobile devices? That will be the key to knowing about that. Okay, thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm back here now, and now that I've taken the picture, it shows the picture and then it also shows the translated text. I had selected Dutch, and so it is translating it into the Dutch from the document. So those are the main functions of Microsoft Translator. It's a free app. It's included as part of our Office 365 subscription, and all of our students and all of our staff have access to this program as a result. I appreciate you all watching and learning about iPads with me.